I talk a lot about time, and if you go back to the Resilient Working Mum podcast, you can find that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. There are many episodes on time and finding more time and having more time and what happens to our time. But today I want to talk about 5 time leaks, and I want to think about this. When you come to the end of a day feeling absolutely exhausted, but you can't say what you actually did today. My calendar was very full, I was responsive, I was on, and yet I've got to the end of the day, and there's kind of this strange sense that the day has slipped through my fingers again, and I didn't really grab hold of it. I just couldn't. I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do in today. Now, this wasn't because you wasted your time or you were disorganized. And it's not because you don't have a handle on time. This experience that I'm talking about, that we all go through, it is incredibly common among high achieving working women like you. And I know this because every single one of my clients tells me that this is something that they experience, that there just isn't enough time and they can't grab hold of time. And so today I want to talk about, as I've said, how high performing women lose or leak time without realizing it, without being aware of what they're doing that causes them to lose that time. Not because they're lazy or they're inefficient or they're disorganized, but through invisible internal patterns in our heads and in our bodies that drain your capacity, drain your ability to focus, drain your energy, and leave you with that feeling of, oh, I just can't grab a handle of my time. I can just never get on top. And before we get started, I want to stress that today is not a time management training. This today is a diagnostic training. This is a training that is going to help you come out the other side saying, oh my goodness, there is hope for me, that I can actually have more time. I can have the time I need to get everything done. I can even have some time for myself. And yes, that you can feel excited about this when you start to look at where you are leaking time. So in order for you to use this training and this conversation today to help you diagnose your issue around time, we have to look at a reframe of time and to see that women like you, with a demanding role at work, with a busy household to run, don't waste it. I didn't waste time today. I want to reframe it into the idea that you are leaking time, because we can plug a leak. We can fix a leak. And you leak time through emotional labor, through holding everybody's emotions, holding your own emotions, through cognitive load. We hear so much about this mental load. We leak time through that, through internal pressure, and through unconscious identity patterns that then cause a behavior that leaks time. These leaks don't show up as part of your to-do list or on the tasks that you have to do. And so they are very easy to be completely unaware of, to miss. And they are incredibly hard to fix with time management tools, with systems that we try to put in place. No matter how brilliant those systems are, if these leaks are taking place, it's going to be very difficult to use the systems that you have. So let's have a look at these leaks. So invisible time leak number 1 is identity-based over responsibility. Oh my goodness gracious me, I think that we all leak time to this particular leak, to this invisible hole in our lives. So in this instance, time leaks through over responsibility. So this is for all of us who automatically pick things up when others drop them. So, oh, that's been put down, I'll take it up. Or who fix things. I can fix that. who fill the gaps. If someone else is missing or if someone else is not fixing things, I'll come in there and fix it. Someone who becomes the kind of safe pair of hands. I hear this all the time. My management report said that I am like the mother hen, or I am the place where people come when they need things to be sorted out. And we are praised for it. Oh, we are praised for taking responsibility, for fixing things. And we're not necessarily asked to do this, but we do it because we can. So the woman who does this from the outside looks incredibly competent and able, which she is. And as I say, she's praised for it. But inside, this woman is experiencing the most unbelievable pressure to keep doing this, to not hand things over if she's not coping, or to say no, or to put things down, or to not fix things. So the time leaks here. Okay, she's taking on a lot of extra tasks, but the time leak is not actually through the extra tasks, but through that mental carry, through the always tracking what everyone else is doing, anticipating their needs, holding that responsibility for everyone's happiness or to fix everyone's problems. And then, so this invisible labor, and then going and doing it. But the thing is, the invisible labor that you hold when you are this person, when you are holding over responsibility, is hugely costly. It is unbelievably expensive, both in terms of your time, of the doing all the things, but also in terms of your capacity to perform at your best. And then what happens is that you end up having to constantly catch up with yourself because you are exhausted and you're not performing and you have to keep striving and trying. So think about that. Is this me? Am I leaking through over functioning, over fixing? Now, invisible time leak number 2, also something that very many of us are, I don't like to say the word guilty, but we do, is constant self-monitoring. And I'm going to add on to that self-editing. So here, time gets swallowed up by sitting in our minds, replaying a conversation, second-guessing decisions, worrying how you came across in that meeting, managing people's perceptions of you. And I really want to just put something here that you are not, you're not doing this because you're insecure. You are doing this because you care. And one of the most important needs we have is connection and belonging. And so you want to keep connection with those around you. But somewhere along the way, as you grew up, you became aware of the fact that it is very important to get it right in order to maintain that connection. So I need to make sure that I came across right, that I said the right thing, that I managed how those people, that person saw me. And again, the cost here is incredibly high because every moment that you spend self-monitoring and then self-editing is exhausting, first of all. And then it is a moment not spent thinking strategically or creatively, or actually letting your brain rest, having some cognitive rest, or being fully present in this moment that I am in this task, with my children, with this conversation, with, in this leadership role. So the time leak here is through mental bandwidth erosion that then causes you to not be able to hold on to the moment with your children or the conversation that you had because you're spending so much time reliving things in your mind. Then we go on to time leak number 3, which we also all do. And this is what I call reactivity, which might look like responsiveness. So this one is quite subtle and it is very common in high pressure environments. And this leak comes from things like our email inboxes, WhatsApps that are coming in, Slack messages, all the notifications that we have on our phones or our laptops. And when these notifications are coming in, responding quickly feels good. First of all, it feels like we're on top of things. Oh, I know that I'm in control. And it also feels good because it looks like we are responsible and we are professional. And look at how responsible I am. Look at how capable I am. Look at how professional I am. I get back to you within the minute. But what gets lost when you see everything, every notification, everything that comes in as urgent is ownership. In episode 118 of the Resilient Working Mum podcast, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, go and find it on the podcast. I talk about my time ownership ladder. And when you sit on the bottom rung of the ladder, which is reaction mode, then your day runs you rather than you leading it with confidence and certainty and productivity. And when your day is driven by what lands up in front of you, bloop, there you go, you're not choosing how your time is spent. You're just reacting to what the day is throwing at you. And the leaks here are not necessarily through what the day is throwing at you, but through fragmented attention. So you are moving from one thing to the other, which is also exhausting. Your brain is having to focus itself every time you move to a new task. This constant switching is stealing your time and stealing your energy, your capacity, and also you lose out on a protected decision space, a space where you say, this is the decision that I'm making and now I can move on. You don't have the space to actually make decisions, and then you start to doubt your decisions, and then you go back into a mental loop. So this isn't a discipline issue. Oh, I just can't stick to one task at a time, and what's wrong with me? It's actually a boundary and an identity issue. And if you continue to let your to-do list lead your day without having boundaries for yourself and without looking at which identity is running your day, you will end up flustered and panicked and with no capacity to really be present and engaged in your work tasks as you go through them, and then when you get home to be with your family. So when you are leaking through time leak number 3, it's that reactivity which looks like responsiveness, responsibility. So invisible leak number 4. This is also one thing that looks like another thing, and that is perfectionism that looks like professionalism. So earlier we were talking about how responsiveness makes us look really professional, but perfectionism also allows us to look professional or allows us to feel professional. Always it's about how we feel about the way that we are presenting ourselves. So again, this one often goes unchallenged because it is socially rewarded. Oh, you are so praised for your perfectionism. And this one shows up in situations where I had one client who put it so beautifully, where you over egg things. You over prepare, you over polish, you over explain, you over egg the email. I love that term. It just made me think about beating that egg until it's perfect. So this might look like staying late at the office, not because your work isn't done, but because it could be, in your perception, done better. So, I'll just do this one last thing, and then 3 hours later, you're still working on doing it perfectly. Or it can also show up in not even getting started on something for fear that you won't be able to do it perfectly. And so you sit there procrastinating, and that steals your time too. And again, this isn't about high standards. It's not about what's expected of you out there. It's about your internal pressure to prove your credibility, to prove your value, to prove your worth, in response perhaps to some standards that have been set, but about them, the story that you have about what you need to do in order to be acceptable. And so time leaks here through fear-driven effort. It's through effort that looks incredibly admirable, that is again praised, but effort that isn't always necessary. Sometimes done is better than perfect, and then the space to go home and be with your children, build relationships, do something else, move on to the next thing. So our last time leak, invisible time leak number 5, is when we experience decision fatigue because we do not have identity anchors. So time leaks here when there is no strong internal reference point, when I am not certain and steadfast in who I am. So in this instance, everything feels important, everything feels urgent. There's no clear internal enoughness. There are no clear boundaries around your values, what is good enough for you. So in this instance, you end up making hundreds of kind of micro decisions every day. Should I say yes? Should I do more? Should I push through? Should I wait? Should I? Always going back and forth with the shoulds. And so here you start to experience this huge decision fatigue, not because you cannot decide, you could easily decide, but you're deciding without an identity anchor. You are not certain in who you are, and so you are run by the rules of the different identities that you are trying to show up in. Maybe the good girl, or the capable one, or the achiever. And you, as me, as Charlotte, never knows which is the right decision to make for me, because all of these rules are telling me a different decision. And so making the decision is hard in itself. And then it is followed by a back and forth of, did I make the right decision? Which then takes away your focus, takes away your energy, takes away your ability to think clearly, and then to be able to move on to the next task. So you may have heard a thread as I spoke, and I want to just offer a key insight into this training to say that none of these leaks are about poor time management skills. You may have incredible time management skills, but still be leaking, because these leaks are all about who you believe you need to be in order to be valued, in order to be accepted, in order to be safe. And they come from these identities like those I've just mentioned, the good girl, the reliable one, the achiever. We talked about the over-functioner. And when these identities are running the show, you can have all those beautiful time management strategies in place, but they will not do anything for you. So I would love to invite you to do something. Instead of trying to fix your time this week, I'm going to invite you to notice one thing. Where are you leaking time by trying to be someone you think you should be? Notice those 5 leaks that I've talked about. Notice where you are losing time, and look at who you think you should be in those instances. It's not about judging yourself. It's not about judging the way that your brain is working. We just want to observe and notice. Awareness is the first interruption to patterns that we have been playing out in our lives. And the first step towards making a change to these patterns is that awareness of what we have been doing that no longer serves us, what we have been doing that has actually been sabotaging us. And the problem is that if we continue to do things the same way that we always have done these things, when these time leaks that we've talked about go unaddressed, when we don't look at the real issue behind them, then women like us burn out. And it's not because they work too hard. We burn out because we live without the internal permission to slow down, to rest, to stop, to choose a different way of doing things. And that is why, and I want you to if you have a piece of paper and pen handy, write this down. If you don't have one, I want you to inscribe it on your mind's eye. Burnout is not a workload issue. Burnout is an identity issue. When you realize this, then there is scope for real, sustainable change to the way that you perform at work, to the way that you show up at home, to the way that you feel about yourself in all the situations that you find yourself. Something that I want every woman to know is that you are not bad with time or failing when it comes to being organized or disciplined. You do not need to work harder. You do not need to rush through things more. You need internal leadership, strong internal leadership, which comes from the identity stability that allows you to hold time differently. When you are certain and steadfast in who you are, you can lead yourself, you can lead your time, you lead your home, you lead your workplace in a really different manner. This is what I love to help women with. So if you would like support with this, you can book a free resilience call with me. I'll pop the link in the show notes. I would love to help you audit where your time is going. And then we can look at how do you take back ownership of your time and create a 30-day plan that will help you to start to move up the rungs of the time ownership ladder. So if you want a little bit more on this, if you want to keep exploring these ideas, listen back to episodes 111 and 118 of The Resilient Working Mum. They're going to help you understand a bit more about how your false identities rob you of your time and how you can take back ownership of your time so that you can stop these leaks. You can build your capacity to continue rocking it at work, really doing it well, being a powerhouse in the boardroom, but also arriving home to a peaceful, calm home where you can be present and you can be fully engaged in the moments that matter, not thinking about all the things that you still need to do or that you haven't got done yet.